Great, so my name is Jenna Ford. I'm the Digital Marketing Assistant here at the Mayo Performing Arts Center, and we are currently honoring our volunteers that have been with us for over 20 years, and I'm here with...
I'm Barbara Capsouras, and I've been a volunteer at Mayo Performing Arts Center for 28 years. I normally do concessions, but I can do any other position that they have.
Okay, so one of the first questions we wanted to ask you was, what was your first visit to MPAC?
My first visit to MPAC was many, many years ago. I started in 1995.
Wow.
And back then, it was undergoing all the renovations that you see. And so the ushers back then used to have to carry a whisk broom in the back of our pocket, because before we would seat patrons, we had to brush the plaster off the seats. Yeah, and there was a lot of folding chairs, and the folding chairs had the number of the seat post-noted on the chair. And sometimes during the night, the cleaning crew would move the chairs out of order. So we would have to make sure we would look at the notes to see if the numbers were in the correct order before we could even start seating people. So that was back in the early years.
Wow.
We used to have to bring black bags and pick up the beer cans. And the first volunteer managers were Bill and Mary Louise Smith. And I was here when they were there. And they were great, and after them there was a whole slew of managers. I think every year there was somebody different.
Wow.
And then we got Erin, and I have to admit, Erin has been the best volunteer manager that we've had.
We love Erin.
Yes.
We love Erin very much. She is the best.
Okay, so that was many years ago.
Yeah, definitely seems like things are very different now, but so you started volunteering in 1995.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
When they first opened this to do concerts and stuff. And one of the reasons I was interested in volunteering here, I used to do that. I used to usher years and years and years ago. I had a neighbor who was a concert promoter, and he did concerts at the State Theater in New Brunswick, and I was an usher. And if I could do the State Theater in New Brunswick, I figured I could do Morristown.
That's fair.
Plus, music was a big part of our lives. My husband was a party DJ, my husband John, and so we had music in our lives all the time. Yeah. We went to a lot of concerts, and in the end, after I started working here and volunteering, I recruited him, my daughter Christina, my friends Linda and Gary, Joan Brucci, and I think a few other people, and my husband and my daughter and I were concessionaires. And everybody wanted to go to John to get their drinks because he could pour a good drink. And he passed away about 10 years ago, and there is a chair in the lobby, in the auditorium named after him.
That's amazing.
But I've done every job you can imagine here.
Yeah, I bet.
I've done the ushering, I've done ticket taking, I've done concessions, I've done Starlight Room, I've done prepaid parking, I've done merchandise. So I can do any of the jobs, but mostly concessionaires, and that's been quite an experience. And I have to remind Erin that years ago, even when you were first here, we had to count everything. We had to count cups, we had to count candy. Before we could close up, we had to count everything.
Oh my God.
And it's gotten a lot better in that regard, let me tell you. Except for cutting up the limes, but now we use the lime juice.
We're making improvements along the way, that's good.
Yeah. I'm retired now, but before I retired, I worked at the County College of Morris for 32 years as the alumni director. And I actually have brought alumni groups here. And I've also brought groups here from High Life Ski Club that I'm a member of and on their executive board. And every year I bring about 30 to 50 people as a group to see the Warren Miller film.
That's awesome.
So I've had interaction with the theater and all these other things that connect. I see people that come in the lobby that I know from all these different groups, and it's just been quite an experience. So what else do you need to know?
All right, so one question we really wanted to ask was, what is your favorite MPAC memory?
Oh, I can't even think of a favorite one because there's been so many great things going on here. But I have to say, meeting all of the house managers and the volunteers has been great, but seeing some of the shows, so besides being a volunteer, I'm also a patron, and to see Ringo Starr here, and one of the most amazing shows, surprisingly enough, was Boy George and Culture Club. That was quite the show. And then one of my personal favorites was Herman Turner and Peter Noon, and he came out to the lobby and I got to meet him.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
So those are some of my good memories from here.
Yeah, and he's coming back soon, so.
I know.
Much excitement in the air. All right, so why did you decide to volunteer at MPAC? I know you kind of touched on that.
Yeah, well, because like with music in my family, and in my job, when I worked at the college, I depended on volunteers. My alumni board was a volunteer, and every time we had an event, we needed volunteers. So I know how important volunteering is and giving back, and how you depend on those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like I said, I had experience ushering before, so this was right up my alley. I saw an ad in the paper, and I was like, ooh. Volunteering at the community theater back then. It was not Mayo Performing Arts Center. It was just the community theater, and everybody knew that as that. As a matter of fact, right now I mess up and I always say the community theater. But no, it's Mayo now, Mayo Performing Arts. So
that's awesome. That's awesome that you, you know, have the experience with that and realize how important it is to return it. So that's really awesome. So what's your favorite thing about volunteering at MPAC? Is it like the shows or meeting people? What would you say is your favorite?
My favorite thing? Well, the shows.
Yeah.
Shows. And I usually do rock shows.
Yeah.
I'm a big rock concert person, but I also do comedy, and I do the Broadway shows because I'm also a big Broadway fan.
That's awesome.
As a matter of fact, there'll be Cats this weekend.
Yes, this weekend. Are you going to that?
I'm volunteering on Friday.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's right. You should tell me that.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And lastly, we just wanted to know, what is one thing you think people should know about MPAC?
That it's an awesome cultural performing arts center for the county, and that it's important to the community, and that people should support it. And that what they were able to do to keep going during COVID they should get an award. Because between the trivia shows and the outdoor concerts at the outdoor venues, they did an amazing job of maintaining some semblance during those crazy COVID times.
That's awesome. We appreciate that. All right, well, I think that kind of wraps things up, and I just wanted to say thank you for all your amazing insight and your time. This was so cool hearing all your stories and getting to know you, and the fact that you've been here for 28 years, you said?
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to many more.
That is so awesome. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
For sitting down with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.